chat and stream, and we see you and myself in the lovely office, the usual crew just passing by the windows there. Welcome to everyone who's in here with chat with us today, and those who are just watching on the VOD later for another Bootleg Identify. This time joining me, Brazen Bard. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm the Brazen Bard. I'm your friendly neighborhood bee older, legally distinct from a trademarked Wizards of the Coast creature, or technically Dungeons and Dragons creature owned by Wizards of the Coast, but it dates back to DSR, and it's complicated.
Isn't that the name for the creature at least became public domain? With their kind of kerfuffle of it's like, here's some stuff that we're gonna let people just use, and then it's like I think mind flayers were in there too. No description, just the player for a creature.
I don't trust any Wizards of the Coast trademarks after the whole OGL kerfuffle.
Thankfully,
the lawyers are gonna find some way to screw things up for everyone anyway.
You're definitely visually distinct.
Stream going though. Seems to be just the attention deficit disorder and Dungeons and Dragons and drive-ins and dives.
Was it still on that? Really? Let me open on my window. Maybe it's really long delay for some.
As you're offline, it's a bit odd. Reloading. There we are.
Okay.
I think maybe that might have been just Twitch that.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't auto kick you into the stream.
Yeah, it might have been just the browser that was being a bit slow.
We're here to talk about some funny, goofy homebrew.
Yep.
We do. Which let's see, popped up on. There it is. Actually, all right. For the meme for our opening description of just, how we think of goofy, silly ideas. For any, in case there's audio-only listeners, it's just an image of box-like creatures, a smaller, like, cup-sized one with wings just jumping out at, it looks like berries or apples up here. Just the text of...
grapes?
Yeah, it kind of looks like art from one of the Magic the Gathering cards, like that type of quality.
Yeah.
Just my 9-year-old dad. Are there any animals that only eat humans? Is there cute baby slur people in? The homebrew.
Writing notes furiously. No, there isn't. But if there were, do you think it would have feathers?
Sometimes the silliest ideas come from someone just offhand comments. The DM goes like, I wasn't thinking that, but I am now. Continue.
Please proceed.
In my campaign, a lot of the off-the-cuff ideas are just player says a thing or asks a question. I'm like, I hadn't considered that until now. I want to. Just ask leading questions until we build onto something. I know I've said in a couple streams before, the persona of Lucy was an NPC who was just supposed to be a red herring. This kind of fiendish-looking librarian makes deals as a very barely the name of Lucy Ferris for Lucifer. It became this huge thing because the party kept coming back to him, asking questions, getting him involved. Sometimes big things happen from just dumb questions.
Yep. I asked enough dumb questions of my own.
I saw a lot of the items you had on Bracca's server, just absolutely unfilled in the best way.
Oh yes, I do love a good pun. Okay.
Those things.
I should point out that there are no stupid questions, just stupid people.
Exactly.
And stupid people don't tend to ask questions.
I always need at least one intelligence caster in the Even if they have a stupid question, someone at least could try to roll if you're not sure for an answer.
Yep.
For a
I'm
item.
an evil overlord. One of my council members would be a 5-year-old child. 5-year-old child spots a problem in my plan. I will correct that problem.
Amounts of babes indeed.
Yes.
You had a lot of what are they called? Less than mundane items? Is that what you call that homebrewery?
More or less
Ah,
common items, I think. Let me just double check what I call the document. It's here somewhere. More or less common gear.
I was curious about how a lot of those ideas came about. To just, I've got this pun. How do I make something? Or these things that have actually come up in your campaign?
Bit of a mix. One of the items on the list for today did actually come up in a campaign. I, as a player, had that arranged for another party member.
It's a good point to just come in good because we have. Well, I have your items that I'm bringing up today split into two groups: the more fanciful, silly ones that probably niche use if they come up, or on the more obviously combat-ready ones. Though we're probably not going to go too in depth with it, I did want to bring up the moonhopper boots, the mustached spectacle. Just because they're super fun, though probably causing more problems than not. Especially with those, like, you can make a check to jump to the moon. It's like, very little need to do that, but if you do, that's probably a character write-off. Seeing as if you fail, you land amongst the stars.
Yes. It's not a check to jump to the moon. It's a check to not miss the moon.
Is probably the most literal take on the save or suck.
Yes. And I'm kind of fond of the mustached spectacles as well. It's my most sincere Marxist item.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Groucho, specifically.
If anyone doesn't get that, especially with smoking a cigar at the time, they're probably a bit young for making us feel especially old when it comes up.
Very likely, but I suspect quite a few grognards are gonna enjoy that one.
Yeah, we got 4 items, kind of more silly items. Let's see.
Yeah.
Start off the advisory earring. Look, that should probably just be given freely to multiple players, only to flavor the meta knowledge of the rest of the group. Going, don't do that.
Mm-hmm. That one was actually an item I had made for a fellow player character in Undermountain.
Did they need it that much?
We have a warlock in the group.
Say no more.
Very naive, young, at the time, fiend-pacted warlock, and he thought summoning demons was a good idea. Under any circumstances.
Any and every, I assume?
Yes. Fair enough. A lot of the time it was in tactical circumstances, but he's a half-elf, and they tried to get on good footing with all the demon princes, including Lolth. As a half-wild elf, that was not a healthy plan.
Not at all.
So he was at least dissuaded from that particular demon lord, but it took a lot of work to get him loose from a certain two-headed nuisance.
Oh, yeah, I'm blanking on their name, but I know which one.
Yeah.
It's the one named in Stranger Things, right?
Demogorgon.
That's
the
it,
one.
yeah.
Same player, by the way, did have a funny misreading of the character description in an earlier edition. It said in the write-up that Demogorgon is comfortable underwater. She's slightly dyslexic, so she was puzzled to see that Demogorgon has comfortable underwear, which is good for him, but I don't see why that's important to point out.
If that was me, I'd go, it's like, that must be an important detail about this demon lord.
Fortunately, she did reparse the sentence a couple of times. But yeah, so the advisory earring is a lovely little common magic item that just senses when the wearer is thinking, "I've got a great idea," and just whispers in their ear, "No!"
Them and all the players like, don't do it.
No.
Which will probably be coming a lot with the next item of the all-day fudge. A brilliant, in my opinion, reflavoring of what is it?
Reflavoring, indeed.
Good berry, right? This is nourishing for an entire day, but also literally reflavoring. So, 20 different flavors, including disappointment.
Yes, and pickled herring. It was actually inspired in part by the what's name every flavor beans from Harry Potter, and the was it Everlasting Taffy or something in
Gobstoppers? Willy Wonka?
Not the Gobstoppers. Was it chewing gum? It was something at least that was nutritious and flavorful.
Yeah. I think it's something like a full meal gum, something.
Yeah, something like that. So that one.
Obviously less dangerous because there's no side effect of swelling up like a balloon.
Yeah, but you're stuck with a flavor all day long. And you can try to eat a second piece in one day, but that's gonna be difficult to force yourself to eat because you're full.
And I assume most of these are supposed to be like Pathfinder capable, seeing as this one in particular has a will save.
Oh, that was actually a
typo?
That was a typo.
I mean, at least this is one of the saves that's easy to translate. Will is wisdom.
Yeah. It would have been more awkward if I had put a charisma save. Let's see.
Charisma save is anyone who's probably too close. Because I assume this is making you taste this thing for hours. Your breath probably smells like it too.
Mm-hmm.
Pickled herring minus 10 charisma, except to fishmongers or something.
But yeah, I've just gone in and fixed the typo there. Now it says wisdom save.
Brilliant. Bring party bots every flavor being much nicer and less fascist, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of those beans was interesting, but I didn't feel like making a D10,000 table for it.
I'm sure there are already some, at least D100 tables out there. Let other people do that work.
But a D20 table seemed adequate.
Probably one of the
black licorice options.
Yeah. I'm a little sad they weren't next to each other, so you can just like go through it's like sweet apple and sour apple, like a little separate. Where you're like, oh, there's that, and oh, there's also.
Yeah, I didn't want to bundle things.
I personally think it's funniest how disappointment is the 20 result instead of the 1, so no one's gonna expect it. It's like, yeah, 20.
Yeah.
Not only did you
13
waste that on
sounds really good
non-combat.
either.
Yeah. Oh,
At least I didn't say fermented herring. Swedish surströmming, as they call it. It's well, it only tastes like it. It doesn't smell like it, so you're relatively safe.
so personally, I have a question. What do you think the flavor of disappointment would be for you, at least?
Very, very bland. Like oatmeal without the excitement.
Better for me. I would imagine it's See, I think a few times on my job requires me to be near landfills from time to time. Hot days, it just smell carries soak into your clothes. I imagine it's like that, just somehow tasting it instead of smelling it.
Yeah, I get that. Back in high school, I lived for 3.5-ish years, downwind of a herring oil factory. Yeah, some days.
Some very windy, warm days, which your nose
It
was
didn't have to
broken.
be warm. This is the coast of Norway we're talking about.
I mean, warm in
Wasn't
comparison.
really warm wasn't so much of a factor.
Well, on to less discussing memory adjacent topics. Sign is the dog skin purse.
Yes.
I know vaguely the story of them. The one, I think it's a Ghibli movie that has raccoon dogs, actually showing them flying by their, the skin of their nethers.
Yeah. That does sound like maybe it is a Ghibli movie. I don't recall it offhand, but
I think it's one of the ones that wasn't like officially translated to English or something.
maybe. In any case, the tanuki skin in question is actually quite well known in Japanese mythology, right? For being as elastic as described in the write-up here.
Oh yeah, and I like how overall it's not super magical. Like it could even just be a mundane. It's very hard to dance. It's like it says explicitly, it doesn't make items smaller, doesn't make them lighter. If it's something you cannot carry, it's dragging along the ground. But hey, the bag will be fantastic.
The only enchantment is really that it stays in
Clean.
good condition. The elasticity is inherent to the leather itself. But yeah, it's
Very silly item. A whole lot of OP type uses I can see, unless someone is very creative in a way I'm not.
I mean, you could combined with something like a decanter of endless water, you could have one hell of a water balloon.
Defeating the purpose of water balloon, in fact, you can't pop it. It's a portable flood, like when you see above ground pools that someone actually splits it and just whoosh.
Yeah, you can't pop it, but who says it's who says you can keep it sealed or closed once it hits the ground?
Oh, I've seen those videos where someone has like water balloon popped on their head but doesn't pop, it just like encapsulates their face.
Mm-hmm.
That with a raccoon dog skin purse, even if it's clean, it's magic to stay clean and undamaged. That would make you uncomfortable, completely covering your face.
Doubly so if you know what kind of skin it is. I know it's a bit wrong to make that item, but it was funny at the time.
It's one of those if you know joke items.
Yes.
The players could know, but maybe their characters do.
Mm-hmm. And if the players don't know, that can be even more fun when they find out. For example, in one campaign I ran years ago, the strongest drink in the Empire was called Demon Piss. This was back in the Third Ed era when monks were immune to poison. And it got the party monk sloshed. The player was enthusiastic about that and bought a whole barrel of it to sip from on their journeys. This lasted for a few months of real-time, weekly games, and culminated in the party being hired to deliver some alcohol to a distillery. They found the distillery, a small shack out in the middle of nowhere, brought the barrels in and found a very sad, drunken, trapped Baylor in a permanent summoning circle.
Oh no.
Yes.
It's a literal.
The player almost lost his lunch when he realized exactly what he had been drinking. It was not just a brand name.
Thing is, that's actually a perfect name for a mixed drink. You wouldn't expect it.
It was mixed, just not in the way most would expect.
Would hope. I need there to be more alcohol in here than piss, so I know it's actually sterile. Thank you.
But yeah.
Then the last few items for the silly kind of jokey ones, probably the most useful of them, suspenders of disbelief.
Yes.
Just make it so you're not having to use an action or bonus action to see through. Plenty of players would like.
It's very handy, but it's in my experience, it's relatively rare for such an item to be necessary.
I think there's only like 3 spells I've regularly used that necessitate action to see through the illusion.
I think there are more than.
Yeah, but I mean like that I regularly use.
Yeah, I've never seen them used really, so
it's
neither by players nor DMs.
Very niche, but it helps the players like feel important. It's like, is that an illusion? I don't need an action. It's like, nope, it's not. Don't worry. I'll just go ahead and tell you when you're fine.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it doesn't negate the need to actually make the check.
Oh yeah.
So.
Like here, the more flavorful things. It's not a massive bonus. I can see that as one of those house rule tables. Potion for yourself as a bonus action instead of regular. I mean, person already.
One game I'm in, the DM ruled that drinking a healing potion is a bonus action, but you have to roll for it. If you use an action to drink a healing potion, you heal max. Yeah, it's a pretty nice tactical choice suddenly.
Especially with base healing potion. Actually get very little heal.
Yeah. 4 to 10 hit points, suddenly, yeah, it heals 10 hit points. Consistently.
Consider that. Probably really enjoy is what they actually use it. Even right now, bonus actions don't come up too much. Not quite at the hard part of the game. We'll see.
One thing I like to do to provide more healing potions than the party would normally be able to acquire is selling them healing potions that are past their due date.
I've done
they're usually like half price or less, 20 to 25 gold pieces per potion for the basic one. And
Done similar, what I call the boba potions. Now they have a shelf life of about a week without a proper like refrigeration type bag, but even that only gets them like another 2 sometimes.
hmm,
It also means that it's cheaper, usually by like 1/4 the normal price. Which, if you're going to somewhere dangerous and you need a lot, you can stock up.
yeah, the thing with these expired potions is that they work normally, except you trigger a wild surge. Yeah, so
That might be a bit much for my group, because they're all to some degree spellcasters.
yeah. Uh, it's an option. The party doesn't have to buy them or even consider acquiring them in the first place. It's just one more option for cheap healing.
Tend to my players with risky endeavors. It's the addictive high risk, high reward because they give back spell slots.
Ooh.
It's like you can take it, but you might get addicted, so be careful.
Yeah. There's also another variant I've seen used and been considering using myself when it comes to healing. Is that healing in 5e is too generous, in my opinion. You heal fully overnight. That's a bit ridiculous compared to earlier editions.
Oh yeah, it's like it shouldn't be that. You gotta work for it.
Yeah, I mean, you should heal level plus con bonus or something per night. That would be a lot more plausible, at least. But there's this funny little house rule I saw. Healing spells work as normal, but if you over heal more than your constitution score per day, what was unrestricted cell division again?
Cancer? Kinda?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta clarify. When you say over, do you mean like your
Over
scores,
healing.
how much healing, or just over your total HP?
Over your total HP.
Okay.
So if the barbarian with 20 in constitution is healed up to full and then 22 hit points more, he might want to look at that injury a little closer in the future, because he might have a tumor.
Got good news and bad news. Good news is you're Deadpool. Bad news is you're Deadpool.
You're Deadpool.
While we're on the topic of like kind of fun potion stuff, another one that I have limited to potion just for the time limit.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what I call them, but it'll temporarily give you a 1-way stat. So if you have, say, a 13 on, you temporarily bump that up to a 14. Sweet HP for a little bit.
Ooh.
It helps reward players to a degree. They didn't get full even on all stat spreads, or got one of those feats that are only half ASI. Come up much, but it was fun when they did get to take that benefit. Gold potion got me extra. Fuck yeah.
It's a nice boost.
Let's see. A couple more eatery typed items. With the Voodoo pepper. It's by Radical Metal from I think it was Reddit. Common magic item. Looking pepper that anyone can, in quotes, as an action, speak the name into Voodoo pepper and consume it. I think they got a bit janky about how to explain it, but the mouth of the creature who is named begins to burn and go numb for rather than the eater of the pepper itself. Speaking, you get to look like a total badass eating ghost pepper without even tearing up.
Yeah. I am a very, very bad person. I am considering the possibilities for the other end of the digestive tract.
Oh yeah, I imagine it's maybe the drawback of this being a common one is you're the one who gets a little bit of the back burn. That's in the future.
That's not where my mind was going.
Oh no, I just figured it's like able to hurt the other person twice on the way in and on the way out might be a bit generous for common, but uncommon, I'll let them suffer twice. But just out of curiosity, how many d4s of fire damage are you thinking?
Actually, it's this is by the description a chili of some sort. I wouldn't say fire damage, it's poison damage.
Oh, jeez.
It's a neurotoxin.
Oh, that's nasty, but I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what capsaicin is. A neurotoxin.
One that, for some reason, we lose so much.
Yeah.
Humans are space orcs sometimes.
Yeah. But,
I like the potentially use of this voodoo pepper. It's like some, I don't know, charismatic henchman do bring in some public support. Like, I know how to stop, and I don't need a spell to do it. Chomp one of these in public. So you charismatic just flop in your orange toupee. Yeah, no one's gonna take you seriously now.
I do see one weakness to the item.
What's that?
What happens if you speak a fake name?
Fair. I assume it would not work.
I presume that the effect only kicks in if you speak someone's true name. And a charismatic villain is probably not using their true name.
Or at least, say, a title and only part of their name. It's like, okay, but is this gonna hit them or their brother? Because they're both Wesleys or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possibly even an alias.
Somewhere there's a buried dead body whose identity was stolen. Mouth just suddenly lights up with magical fire. God, no, necromancer. One of their undead's mouth just lights up with fire. It's like, oh god, we've weaponized one of their undead.
Or if you're really unlucky, you just try to target a doppelganger who's mimicking someone else in another city.
I mean, that might still come out be helpful. Like, yeah, this random guy in this bar just suddenly fell to the ground asking for every glass of water we had in the house. And it's a detail the party just might overlook. See, Red Metal also had a candy jar. It was potentially helpful. Potentially it's like, minor effect. Jar full of candy, what's not to love? Though the candy appears only outside the jar for some reason, inside looks empty. What gives? Candy bonus action. It's in the jar, rolls a d4 and takes her hand out. Candy just appears there. There is no trying to get the exact piece you want. With chance of gaining a hit point. Speed going by 5 for 10 minutes. Saving throw, return an extra attack roll. Very minor benefits. This could probably even pop down to a common level. Such a minor. Times a day.
I don't know. It's actually it lasts for 10 minutes without concentration.
Yeah, but it's only to your next save or your next attack. It is like the entire 10
yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
Single-use effect. Yes, that's.
And speed up going up by 5, that's not huge. Especially because if your entire party doesn't get it, you're not really making the best use of it.
Unless you're the scout.
For sure, the scout, but at least in D&D, that position isn't often where you're put into positions where you're going to be there for like a half hour out or something.
Yeah, I mean, my Tabaxian Undermountain, Rogue Swashbuckler, he actually liked that one. He does a scout ahead because he's freaking invisible. Without being invisible.
Yeah, that certainly helps. See, if I recall, Swashbuckler's one where you get like a free disengage if they attack, right? Or am I thinking one of the monks?
Yeah, if they attack you, you don't get attack opportunity against them. And they get sneak attack so long as you don't have an ally next to you.
Such a nice rogue.
Yeah, it's the best rogue in my book. Plus, they get charisma to initiative, so they are likely to go first.
This is a dex-heavy class. It's also your charisma.
Yeah. So yeah, something like that. The 5-foot speed boost for 10 minutes could come in handy. Or leggy. Whichever. But yeah, uncommon, no attunement. Looks fine to me.
Got a... It's by Home. So it has a lot of items. Starting off with a Snapshot. It's a divination spell, and it's just much make a picture without having to use a device from your officer, what have you.
Yes.
Like the inclusion of the material component from mercury-based paint. Nice little nod to mispronounce this.
Obscura.
Yeah, and Daguro type
Yeah.
cameras. Also like old ones that people think of for black and white, like Abraham Lincoln photography. Artificer, they're getting it. See argument for arcane trickster rogue also having it. Aside from having access to wizards, it's like I mean more roguish than being Ace of Joint. Also bring back friends to look at.
Let's see. Higher level effects. Nice.
Objects, which are not so great for combat, like very say discovering some. This ability of creating ghost photographs or whatever, scampy. Fantastic.
There's actually one thing I might want to add to that spell.
What's that?
If someone inspects the picture really up close, there should be a constitution save versus heavy metal poisoning from the mercury fumes.
See where you're coming from. Let's see. Poison. So classes having persistence. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
But I mean, we're talking almost nose to the canvas close. So
yeah, borderline
it's
licking
something
it.
that
Really.
doesn't come up often.
Other detail I like is the fact that this has to be a blank canvas you've touched within the last 8 years. Means you could also do this to just ruin a shopkeeper. It's like a big blank canvas on display. observe it, then stick to you, so you go back and just, I don't know, naked picture of the barbarian. Comes and gets angry. Where did you get that?
Mm-hmm. Or, just touch a few canvases around your home, maybe 5 or 6 canvases, and then go gawking at the local bathhouse. A bard would do that.
So
Wizard, maybe. Artificer? Bit of a toss-up.
I think a wizard would do it. They're paid ahead of time. It's like, alright, who do you want? Well, if you'll pay off my ones I need for the next spell slot, it's worth it.
Bards would do it for shits and giggles, honestly.
Oh yeah. Real fun is. Oh, a city with an especially fast courier service. It's like, they check in while you're getting a bunch of blank canvases. Sure, let's find nothing wrong with that. Get out there and get to incriminating images of whoever you're sending them to. It's like, this literally happened after you sent them. It's like, I'm not good.
Yeah, that's that could also cause some very interesting. Oh man, imagine the murder investigation. I mean, the City Watch receives the image of the incident itself, but due to when the package was sent, they believe it happened earlier than it did, when you had an alibi.
I would have. How blank does a blank need to be? Could you put just like a stick figure, simple drawing in the corner, or just the entirety out? Just like overwrite a simple message. That would be useful in 2 ways.
Oh, I think I'd rule that the surface that's getting painted over needs to be blank. So you could have marginals and such lying in wait.
I'd actually leave some possibility. You ever seen those they're like TikToks where people do painting down like some masking tape first? So it masks an under image. That effect, but with a paint. Just peel off mask tape. That's clean.
I can't say I've seen TikToks like that because I don't use TikTok. So
Fair. I mostly see them on Tumblr. It's like, see what this fucking person did with it. Like, show me more TikTok.
But I've seen such techniques used. So I do get where that's coming from. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some more water here.
No problem. I'll just next one talk about it. Like, this joke item should be obvious to most people who have been on the internet last couple years. Fangled 10. Image of looks like just basic ass parchment and some ink of a monkey with some just hair, marking it as worth 10 gold and scratched in extra zero to make it up. This cotton sheeted bill, a poorly illustrated monkey displayed proudly in its center. Originally made by a charlatan to grant uneducated commoners out of a queen. He quickly found a little too much success with his blatant scam. As an action, you can hand another creature this bill and attempt to charm them. It must succeed on DC 8 intelligence saving throw or become harmed by you for up to 1 hour, or until they are harmed. While charmed, the creature genuinely believes the bill is worth 100 gold pieces. When the charm ends, the creature becomes filled with buyer's remorse. However, still desperately hopes that the bill wields value, but knowing deep down that it doesn't. That it succeeds, the saving throw recognizes the bill to be worthless paper with low quality scripts. I think now is a perfect time to remind everyone that any similarities to persons real or fake is completely coincidental. It's in no way meant to be a calling out of stupid or blatant scams.
Oh, absolutely. The the homebrew here is just monkeying about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, an argument could be made that at the moment you're actually getting paid by the victim, you just harmed him, so it becomes a semantic question.
True. Only there's more space to add extra zeros. Might be a little happier.
Hmm.
Oh no, sir, I got it for 100, but you sell for 1,000. Worth certainly more.
NFTs are worth exactly as much as you can get a sucker to pay.
Going forward in the future should be less and less, especially if they're the versions that use big air quotes here AI art, spontaneously generate stuff. It's like if you can't be bothered to make it, why should you be? Why should anyone be bothered to buy it?
Mm-hmm.
This was a nice inclusion, if only because I know there's a spell that does the same increase or decrease in item parent value. There's not really an items based on that. Nice thing to just.
I have seen the non-fungible trident.
Seen the non.
It
Trident.
showed up. It showed up in Tales from the Tables. Yes, Dungeons and Doodles. Tales from the Tables.
I have to look up dungeons. I'm not familiar with them.
Oh yeah. It's a pretty good webcomic. Hang on.
Sound fun if they're coming up with the
Yeah.
whether or not a trident is fungible or not.
Yeah, dropped you a link there.
Oh, I recognize that art. Okay.
Yes, the best available on YouTube.
It's not aware they are on Webtoons. I've only seen a couple circling through Tumblr, and I think.
Oh yeah, it's been the webcomic's been around for a while.
It's a very beautiful, well done jokes too.
Yeah. And the non-fungible trident was painful. Yeah, we own it. We can't take it out of the vault or anything, but we got this paper showing that we own it.
It is a smart creation on part of the creator. If it was a fungible trident, then they could be held up for the money paid for it.
Yep. In the words of the dwarf, this is worthless. But yeah, someone deserves to wind up very, very tender over that thing.
The touching back on the art that has actually been made by a person. The items made by WarriorButton, bringing them back, because I just love how charming their hand-drawn stuff is. Starting with their Staff of Ages. Sorry. Staff of Ages, which is just when you hold it the correct way up, rapidly age until you're considered elderly. Some minor boosts to your intelligence system and buff to strength and dex. Upside down, you regress to adolescence. That additional strength and dex with less intelligence and wisdom, which someone who was once a child I can attest to.
Yep.
Just, it for, I don't know, disguise self sort.
It could work for that. My question is, what happens if you hold it horizontally?
I assume that's how you try and get back to your original age.
Yeah.
Do you panic before realizing?
I do see the effect ends if you drop the cane, so...
Yeah, but as long as you're holding it, you might not want to let go of it. It's like, oh crap, how do I undo it? It's like how so many parties get stumped by doors. Seems like the kind of item people might overthink for realizing we could have just done this 30 minutes of game time later.
Yeah, there's an anecdote from Mage the Ascension. A young apprentice from House Titulus trying to... House Titulus is the harshest house of the Order of Hermes to be trained in. The masters are known for being cruel to their apprentices. And the young Titulus was trying to advance in the order and was given a task. Open this box. And the master just left the room and let the apprentice try to figure out how to open the box. The apprentice tried every kind of spell he'd learned, developed a couple of new ones to try to open the box, but it was completely warded. And after 4 hours or so, the master comes back inside and... So, did you manage to open the box? No, it's completely warded. Did you try opening the lid? Wasn't locked. There was a trial for a mage. Sometimes you don't have to use magic, but yeah, it is that kind. It's the same kind of mental trap.
It sounds like the kind of thing that would happen in Discworld's Unseen University. It's the important thing about being a wizard, knowing when not to use. Supposedly much harder to not turn someone frog as soon as you know how to do it.
There is that. The Unseen University is designed to keep wizards from casting spells by keeping them well fed and lazy.
Then there's the librarian, keeping spell books out of people's hands by putting shelves.
Smart ape that.
See the other button I have, slightly more active. The Living Gate Rod. Just a fun once a day thing. Yourself a mundane item from a strange realm where it is alive. Examples, I especially like the shovel and umbrella, just because of the use of teeth on there.
The umbrella reminds me of one of the Japanese yokai.
Yeah, it's never remember the name because I'm horrible with other. It's got like the foot instead of the handle, right?
Well, let's see. It's called the they're Tsukumogami. The tools that awaken after a century, or approximately a century.
I can understand if you got a good set of tools that actually ask you hand those fusks down. Do not toss them out or hoard them with you.
You've got to keep and use and maintain the tools for 100 years, give or take, and they awaken. It's
take care of your tools, and they take care.
Yeah. So it's an interesting concept.
Yes, I mean the only downside is they don't last days, but they very eldritch appearance. See this being found in like cult side quest of sorts. Already maybe it's a very item. Raid or ritual. Of course they have to keep it with them. Someone else picks it up. Make a campaign serious and a serious one, well, just look at the shovel. That'd be goofy as fuck.
Oh. Just realized, fathomably, you could make a rope and hoist someone into a tree with it. Dangling them from their legs.
Oh, and then 3 days later, they're just
free.
Not only free, covered in. So if something does get them, it explains nothing of how it happened.
Mm-hmm. And depending on how high you hoist them into the tree, that drop could be unpleasant.
Be fun for a DM, considering the 5% chance of the item just sentient.
And you could of course just hogtie someone in a cave in the mountains.
This would be the most debilitating see for the characters. It's a sentient, we'll say rope, as we've built on several examples. Get attached to him as much as a Hoblin the Goblin. It's a doomed to failure because they're only going to last 3 days.
Not doomed to failure, it's doomed to perish.
So sad.
You got 3 days in which you can shine like a star, and then you die. It's a mayfly.
Ropey served us well. Easily sliding to the next living thing. Also, the control for the players. We have the
Actually, I just realized, would the living tools, would they be able to replicate, prosthesis? Like a prosthetic leg?
Let's see.
I mean, it is an object with a mechanical function, so...
Let's see.
As a
I would
DM,
say...
I'd argue that...
At DM, I'd argue it could do prosthetics. Maybe something like a wheelchair would be a bit much just with how complex it is, but...
Yeah,
they're basic wooden prosthetics.
A peg leg, a hook hand, that kind of thing would be perfectly within reason.
There's a historical knight lost an arm in battle.
Oh yes,
Stood for years.
Guts von Berlichingen. Guts of the Iron Hand. He was a hard ass.
Here towards the end, he was like almost forced into retirement, if I recall correctly.
A couple of times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
The fact it needed more than once is just how much of a badass he was.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very trigger-happy war leader, as it were. Mercenary leader, actually, as I recall. And after he lost his hand, he became even more aggressive. Declared feuds on various cities to extort money from them. Got warned that I think it was the Pope that let him know that he had to stop that shit. Gave him a few years in which to just sit down and behave. Then he got a reason to go out to war once again and got back to his shenanigans.
It's really a matter of practice at that point. He had a lot of practice.
Yeah. And that hand of his was pretty damn impressive.
Guys, I think it was good enough that he could even write with that hand. It's the really impressive thing to me.
He could fence with it.
But yeah, but fencing, it doesn't need like the manual dexterity of holding something like. It's not like the sort of days where you have like an iron stylus for dipping ink into.
Wielding a sword is still pretty complex, considering it was his main hand.
Oh yeah, I see. If I recall correctly, only because there are some big history nerds complaining about D&D mechanics. Loose sword fighting should be dexterity rather than strength. So you can't move that precisely. You're not hitting anything.
Actually, there's a fair argument that strength is perfectly appropriate because you need to not exhaust yourself. We are talking about 2 to 3 pounds of steel in your hand. That gets heavy quickly.
Yeah.
Even a rapier, it still weighs the same as an arming sword or longsword, even depending on the exact model. So it is agile and pokey, but you still have to be pretty strong to use it efficiently.
See, having lost flexibility in the wrist might have did a normal person, but not Guts of the Iron Hand. He's too badass for that.
Yes.
When the Pope himself has to say, "Hey, maybe you should retire. Long last, you've done it. You've won." That's some big political sway, really, for the Pope himself to be deemed the arbitrator of that.
In fairness, the medieval popes got themselves involved in a lot of things.
Oh yeah, but for a non-political thing, just stop fighting for a bit.
It was pretty political. I mean, he did basically declare petty wars on whole cities and city-states, so it was definitely some political movements involved.
Yeah, that's not the sort of history they teach in school. How?
Yeah, pity. Anyways, you were gonna bring us up to the next.
I actually also tied to history of the spell. It's enclosed bear, which I think is a reference. I think it's a Celtic thing where there's supposedly a bear like art. Sorry, a name like art, where if you say it will summon a bear. Big legend. And I think XKCD actually did a comic about it, though I couldn't find it for this stream.
Yeah, I don't recall the. I don't recall hearing of that one myself. So.
That's a very. I think level 2 for this spell is fine, because it's not on your side. The bear is on the bear's side.
Yeah.
And also the delay of 30 seconds. Yeah. And
it's random when it shows up. That's even better.
But for just complete chaos. I don't know, maybe you're into the big manor house, the local lord goes awry. It's just like, well, you know what? This is already getting into yakety sax level of chaos. Let's go ahead and bring some bears into the mix.
Yeah, this is bear, and I'm running. That thing's gonna cover my retreat soon.
In worst case scenario, you get caught. Well, you're not gonna be held by too many people because there's also a bear they have to defend against.
Mm-hmm. And I can summon another bear.
Like who you want to reason to?
Yeah.
You have a druid on staff? If not, you're gonna have to contend with us, who you can communicate with. That bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so silly. It's like I'd let it be used.
I did introduce a funny magic item to a group once. They found an empty booth. The market stall kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Out in the wilderness. Simple wooden thing, and it had one of those small bells on the counter. You know, the kind you find in hotels and such.
Yeah, it's like if no one's here, ring bell.
Yeah, and next to the bell was a sign. FREBERRINGBEL. It was obviously badly spelled. Only the word ring was correctly spelled. And one of the players decided that he was gonna just hammer that bell because he wanted free beer. So after he just rapidly dinged it 5 times, 5 random bears arrived and were confused by what happened. A couple of brown bears, couple of black bears, and a grizzly. And they just looked around and decided to act like bears do, because they weren't controlled or anything. They weren't abnormally aggressive, nor were they conjured fey in a fleshy form. They were literally pulled in from somewhere around the world.
Not gonna lie, I think it's that random encounter. It's like, yeah, nothing's attacking you in the woods. You go to your destination. There's a weird abandoned market stall there for no reason.
Mm.
And the fact that one of the players has ties to a small gentry archfey, they just might think, well, they must be coming to try and communicate for some reason. They're doing this stall. It's just who.
Just remember to make the prop sign first, so the players can read it.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll have real fun. It's bearing with us for that. At the only stat block for today, Cardboard Golem. The art alone is worth trying to bring into a campaign.
Yeah.
That's probably not the word. A collaborative work between Snickelsox of Lasers and Liches, I think, is a lot of other stat blocky stuff. As well as Laser Lewis, who does, at least on Twitter, some of the funniest art, is a Lizard OC. Primary pieces.
Yep.
Made this and several other holy/unholy creations.
Yes, I believe it's pronounced Uis, not
Uis? Okay, Uis.
Yeah,
sorry.
Spanish.
I'm so just in the US used to a Saint Louis, so I never think double L as a Y sound. This is the.
Yeah, it's. At least I've heard it as Uis. It's apparently why he named his lizard folk Uhis.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, the cardboard golem. I could make one of those at work. Except I don't have crayons.
Yeah, but crayons are 2 for a dozen. Super cheap. Kids get to use them.
Something like that.
A very fun flavor text to this. The elders say that desperation breeds creativity, or something of that nature. This idea is rarely better represented than by the cardboard golem. Made from scraps of boxes, tubed, and imbued with just enough magic to get an animating spirit. A slapdash idea that works just enough to prove possible. So they're bare bones designs. They can be both mass-produced and changed to fit most situations. Some are created to brawl with bare board, while others more resemble tanks than humanoids. All share the common trait of being incredibly flimsy, easy to destroy, even the barest amount. That alone, I imagine, was like the BattleBots competition, where it's just like metal monstrosities in a ring. Only because of the possible shrapnel. Went full on the description of the details, like we got fragile on the head box, friends on this kind of arm blaster. Yeah, this side up, but also a crayon to know you Uno reverse symbol.
And a +1000 greatsword.
Oh, of course. Gotta give your cardboard golem the best of the best. Why it's also got the tennis ball in the end. All the classics golems have immune to poison and psychic. Persisting, non-magical, and of course vulnerable to fire because it is a cheap cardboard golem. Let's see.
Immune to blinded, charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, and poisoned. Makes sense. Hard to petrify cardboard.
I mean, get enough Elmer's glue and leave it time to dry. Close enough.
I said hard, not impossible. And, I mean, if you have access to enough royalty, you can make sovereign glue.
It's a lot harder than horses.
Ed Greenwood himself confirmed that that's the ingredient.
God, that reminds me of a short horror story that Roald Dahl did, which he quote-unquote sold as a deleted scene from Wonka, about a candy that would make you seem sick to get out of school. What's it made from? Well, principles. It was really dark and horror because there is this added character of a principal and his daughter who came on the went in to try and shut down the machine.
Oh no.
It's very nice, just a collection of short stories. Roald Dahl's like, I've got one that no one's gonna expect. It's fun. Along with Sovereign. That's why it's so rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad news to be born the fourth son of a king.
No, but you actually have to be king. Sovereign.
Well, yeah, but it's just, you know, the title of sovereign for some small country no one cares about.
Mm-hmm.
So he just disappears into his work, or to be believed.
Mm-hmm. Why does this little kingdom have such high turnover in the royal family?
It's best not question it. Just throw a parade every couple months. You'll live the high life.
Hello, Burango.
Hey, Bringo, welcome. I know it's a bit earlier than a normal stream, but you know, I want to make sure I could actually co-host Brazen Bard here, especially so we could talk about some of your stuff. We're currently on Cardboard Golem. The wrappings of golems. Getting into the there's obviously a Voodoo form, another classic of golems. He's also got magic markings. Where Golem gets advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical items. Succeed. Spell effective by 5 or more. It's to reuse one of its expended spells, which some fun. In the stream, yeah, sounds good. But let's see. And they've actually got a nice selection of spells for quickly made bare bones design, as the flavor text said. Self, cannon, or spell, magic missile. Make it a lower end threat, also very entertaining.
That sleep spell can be really devastating at lower levels. And it is just a challenge 2 creature, so...
Weak to fire, and there are so many spells to that. Every magic class has one. Actually, one of the group has fire spells and it's a torch on top of that. It's like, what's the group? They're just wandering to their death at that point. Also, like the Soggy. They're soaked through with water, their speed is halved, and they lose hit points at the start of their turn until they dry. The upside being that they're immune to fire damage until they dry again. Very situational. But also, not a lot of creatures make mechanic stuff like that. They can temporarily lose a resistance or let alone
something to toggle immunities or resistances. That's... You don't see that often.
helps mix things up,
Mm.
especially with lower encounter difficulties that aren't supposed to be difficult, but you need to make it last a little bit long. They aren't burning it. You like how the cardboard sword is just called the card sword.
Mm-hmm.
Fun, very flavorful, and Snickelsox and this get together. They make some really fun, silly stuff.
Yeah.
That the super silly things. The sword on the cob. Takes a picture from the item of the same name in Blue Fantasy. This item. Rumors say that Paul, the god of creation and pluma magic from the Aztecan pantheon, humans maze after having been jealous from all the worship that the goddess Mastika received from them. This thick and rounded sword has the shape of a somewhat flat cob of corn. Maybe this relic was crafted by clerics who go tall to remember that event. It's a +1 short sword, a few extra well-named abilities such as Pop the Corn. The sword has 6 charges. Small at dawn, classic charges back, bonus action, extend charge to heat up the blade. Creature you hit before the end of your turn takes extra 1d4 fire damage and 1d4 thunder. The kernels just explode. As well as a con save to just not be deafened.
Now I wonder what happens if the wielder is struck by lightning.
Forced to use as many charges as they can.
Mm-hmm. I'm forced to use 1d6 charges.
But not Fireball, though. Fireball is just too quick.
Mm.
Gonna burn your corn.
Mm-hmm.
Camouflage I've seen from the side just looks like a normal top. Creatures just disadvantage to receive. It's fine, nothing to eat. Aside from perhaps the size of it, because it's a short sword. Dagger.
I've seen some pretty large corn cobs, so I guess it could pass for one. Short
If only
swords aren't that much.
Yeah,
Short
yeah.
swords are not that much longer than a long dagger, so
I'm just thinking it's like consumer grade. It's like you don't see a lot of really large corn. Even if they fail that check, they're still like, "Damn, where'd you get that? I want corn that." Probably a bit of lunch cake.
maybe it's feed corn that's larger. A kind used not for humans.
And the last feature, which I don't quite get, but maybe I just don't grow enough corn or something to know. The sponge, which cornels are apparently a good method for water absorption in small quantities. This magic sword is fully soaked in liquid. It can absorb up to 10 pounds, roughly 4.5 liters of said liquid in 10 minutes. When the weapon is full of liquid, it gains the heavy property, of which there is no other benefit. Not getting damage just means small creatures use it.
Yeah, it's a weird property.
Because it doesn't say anything about how to remove or said liquid.
No, it does.
It does.
Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until the next
Oh.
one when the corn kernels become dry once more.
But yeah, but you can't like physically. You gotta just. So I guess that's a way for the DM to put a little bit if you're just thrown in jail or something.
Maybe.
That's a silly item. I especially like it because some of the early Soul Calibur games are always goofy weapons you can block Songmina, who has a spear, to just give her a broom, slap people with instead. But more games need that. As for the humor, nothing else.
True. Well, Sword on the Cob. You see it here first, people. Available at your local corn hub. Or
The local, purveyor in your mercantile corn hub.
Yeah.
Need to actually the other one because any more files GIMP would have forcibly closed on me again. Yeah, just load the pick. Oh, you're getting some swap back. Okay. Starting with the
that wouldn't be
give last two left a reason one there, but let's leave them as a let's see. That's a bit much because blocking it.
Yeah.
Zoomed is
So here's another few of mine.
more partially aligned ones. I especially like the Claymore of Blasting.
Yes.
Detail of the front in a Dwarfish specifically, like that.
Dwarvish and Gnomish versions are well documented, but not exclusively those languages.
Oh,
Fear the Orcish one.
It's just like Dwarvish text on a sword. I can see a lot of adventurers not thinking of it. It's decoration.
Yeah.
Really rewarding.
Goes...
Big boo.
Yeah. Do not use that one with flanking rules.
Let's see. I mean, it's a deck save. You can flank with a rogue, as long as they're aware of it.
Yeah, it's, it assumes that they're aware of it, but it's still considered bad form to use that one if you use flanking rules, or if you're flanking it in any case.
Now I assume because it doesn't explicitly say otherwise, but this is a reusable item. Like
that's
okay.
It triggers on a critical hit. Those aren't that common. Well, once in 20, unless you have the champion fighter or something.
Figured I should double check because exploding item, sometimes is a one-off consumable.
Yeah, but this sword generates the detonation instead of exploding on its own. So
I've let players get a couple actual claymores because I run a modern camp. Sort of damage you can.
But yeah, it's a weapon that has a 1 in 20 chance of normally a 1 in 20 chance of causing a
Nice
bit of AoE damage, but given that it's only 64 points of damage and a 15-foot cone, I figured it was tolerable as a rare.
Yes, but because the DC scales with attack bonus rather than something like a spell attack. Crossbow of the
Yeah, that was a silly item.
A heavy crossbow, nonetheless.
It
looks completely normal until it successfully hits someone and it turns eye and deals psychic damage instead.
It's is it 1d10 damage on the heavy crossbow normally?
Right.
Yeah. So
not psychic good though. There's not a lot of resistances to it.
So You expect to deal 1d10 piercing damage with this hideous-looking crossbow, and instead you deal 2d10 psychic damage from a surprise cream pie to the face. Like, why? Why?
Put you in your place. Why else?
I mean, it does have the advantage of being a magical weapon, so
It's not bad.
it does go through the it does go through a lot of damage immunities and resistances.
The only downside is, as a magic weapon, you can't get the reloading infusion. Artificers only being able to do that to mundane items, but
You can't, but you do have the crossbow master feat.
that too.
Mhm.
And the last of the more serious items you had is the scale and the upgraded version.
Yes, both variants are pretty decent actually.
Kind of sight that doesn't require like seeing. Definitely useful.
Yeah, I mean, tremor sense was a third ed thing, and
It's like, honestly, I could say with the tremor sense, it would probably pass for a rare item too. Only because, again, not see someone because bypassing that sense kind of takes out some of the lower difficulty like traps you could.
yeah. The thing is, it's just a scale armor that doesn't grant any other bonuses. I mean, no other armor bonuses or anything. It's just a pretty nice scale mail. So,
Rated version, just getting Earth Tremor.
Mhm.
Very earthbendery.
Yep.
Want to be tough, but better.
yeah. Tough guy, eh?
Especially because not a lot of, at least the armors that I remember seeing in 5e, have the thing where if you can cast spells normally, you can also cast the spells that it grants. That's common for like wands or weapons. Armor with it, that's not quite as common.
Yeah, and it is very much a druid appropriate armor as well.
But yeah, because it uses Umberhill instead of metal.
Yeah, chitin.
Titan.
Yeah, it's not shitten. It's not. It's a pronunciation thing. But yeah.
So hard that because it comes from crustacean. Just think hard seas, not beaten.
Yeah, it's Greek, I think.
Okay, yeah.
It's like Karen the Ferryman.
Kerberos.
Oh yes, best spot ever. But yeah, Richter's scale, of course, being a blatant pun.
Very obvious, at least to you remember middle school. Is it geography, biology?
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about would being able to do that. See, my group got around that with a special thing I brought in. The nut of a golden walnut tree, which grows large enough it's about the size of a coconut, but incredibly hard to get.
Nice. But yeah, for druids, the usual heavier armors are dragon scale, ironwood, that kind of thing. But bug type carapaces are usually overlooked.
That part of the campaign has like Underdark type creatures. Also, druids big enough that they can better wild shapes. It's limited to There's druids who don't get a lot of use out of that, like a wildfire. Probably using the spirit instead of more shape shifting your.
Yeah, a circle of the land druids, I believe, who focus more on spell casting than wild shaping.
My favorite was my player's favorite, at least when he started the campaign, the Stars Druid, which we reflavored the focus to be a gun so he could go to the Archer constellation and shoot people.
I've been considering a Circle of Spores druid myself.
It's classic.
He's just a fun guy.
Indeed, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Opened a black walnut based nutcracker. Oh, right. Instead of the squishes, sideways and standing on the. Oh. That definitely sounds like the wrong way to use that nutcracker.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I did play a warlock a while back. Fun little guy, Dwergar, raised in a Myconid commune, worshipper of what's her name again? The fungal demon priest, prince.
I'm actually not familiar.
Zugtmoy.
That sounds right. Oh, it's a weird pronounced name.
He was a Zugtmoy warlock. And being a Dwergar, he could grow larger. He also had a red cap, a hammer, and boots of jumping. And a flower-shaped one for casting fireballs. The character was inspired.
Sure, as soon as you said red cap.
Mm-hmm. So he was a very... He was a mushroom enthusiast.
The player or the character?
The character. I'm not that keen on mushrooms, except for the over-the-counter kind of mushrooms you normally put on a pizza.
Fair enough. Felt I had to ask, because I had a wizard player who found a lot about pigeons, and I had to learn some of it for his familiar. Let's see, right. Okay, yeah, I can understand how the power of this route might be a bit difficult. It feels like standing on the handle might be something it's not designed for. I've broken a tire and iron trying to do that myself. Thankfully, I was putting it back on, not taking it off.
But phrasing out of context, that one sentence sounds very conspicuous. Like, what did the wife say?
Say about what?
Using his entire body weight with leverage to generate torque to power a...
But, I'm sure she would have some either harsh words or very happy ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, at least you came out of that unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, torque is a funny thing. We got this guillotine at work, the paper cutting type.
Yeah.
And there's this little screw on the side to tighten the mechanism to adjust the amount of force, how deep the blade cuts. And using a screwdriver with a T-shaped handle, I managed to break a half-inch steel rod.
Gotta be very careful
with one
about.
hand.
Well, I mean, bragging about it, I see.
I mean, I was impressed. The guy who delivered the replacement rod and by extension, the guy who provided the machine in the first place, they were pretty impressed.
Is something you don't mess with.
Yep. Or you mess a lot with it. It's either or. It's there's no middle ground.
Not at all. Definitely wear safety glasses. Definitely wear safety glasses.
It was fine. The whole rod was inside the machine.
Well, I just mean messing with torquing channel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Similar to Claymore of Blasting, I'd actually come across a similar exploding sword by someone else. I'll zoom out now that we are here.
Yes.
Probably just a bit more on screen, so I don't. Oh. Off.
Yeah.
Everyone can see.
Me?
Yeah, the sword of random explosions.
So, that one's actually more likely than the Claymore of Blasting.
Right. Not.
Yes. Or 1 in 10, if you like.
I don't like minimizing. These are some dice rollers.
True.
But yeah, just instead of being at the point of the sword, it's just random points somewhere in 150. A bit more chaotic.
It basically hurls out a fireball in a random direction. No, wait, it doesn't. It generates a fireball at a random location within range. It can be on the other side of a wall by this description.
Correct. I think the random location is probably a bit more for it's like the DM can do what they want.
Yeah.
Listen to flavor the whether you got a 1 or a 20 to trigger it.
You know, as a DM, if the party makes too much use of such a sword, I'd probably have them just hear the boom in the distance, and then suddenly there's a very confused mage of some sort falling to the ground with some carpet around him. And a very sour disposition if he survives the landing.
Your bard, or at least whoever's the party face out there, it's like, we didn't trigger it, they did. So who's gonna believe the fighter swinging 4 times around did that?
Mm-hmm.
And
of course, technically, point blank is within 150 feet.
I assume we'll come up more in the triggering with a 1 than a 20.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. A ring, not of fire immunity, but of tracking. It first comes across as a completely flavorful thing. It's like, it's your attuned where the ring always knows where the ring is. Except, at least by the base rules of 5e, the way to unattune from something is to place the attunement, or be separated from it for more than 24 hours. I know this because Wizard Pigeon Familiar got possessed by a weapon. Won't go into that right now. So the ability to just sneak this into someone's pocket and follow them without spells comes up.
Actually, as DM, I'd argue that you wouldn't be able to track it by slipping it into someone else's pocket either.
What about it being stolen from you?
You lose track of it. It specifies the wearer of the ring. So you know where it is while it's on your finger.
Just makes it completely useless.
Yeah, which is...
No, personally, I wouldn't give someone, like, an uncommon, because that's probably more like they buy it than find it. So, I mean, what mook is going to go around just having one that's on his trigger detect man?
Yeah, however, I would rule that if the wearer loses their hand, or just the finger with the ring on it, They still know where it is, so long as it's still attached to the finger.
I just thought of a funny fake hand of Vecna involving a ring of tracking now.
That could work. Some insidious lich keeping tabs on where pretenders to the power are.
Especially if Lich or one of his lackeys is like, "We heard where," just in whispers, "where the ring hand of Vecna might be. You in?"
Mm-hmm.
Bring in paladins and whatnot to further fuel their immortality.
Yep. It's a mean trick. I mean, nothing beats the head of Vecna, but
Oh, I was gonna. My favorite fake Vecna is the ass of Vecna. Only because that requires you removing your torso and both legs, somehow getting it in time.
Yeah, the head of Vecna. There are few PvP scams that have outmatched the head of Vecna.
Let's see. Fake magic item, kinda. Just the pendant. I think is the cruelest item here. So it's a very rare item and requires attunement. It's nothing but appears to be magical.
Yeah, I object to the rarity of it.
I would say, like,
I mean,
perhaps it looks very rare while attuned, but it's like
any caster able to cast Nistel's magic aura can make that. So, unless it does something more sophisticated than just faking being magical.
It also affected scrying magic, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's a Legend lore, that's it. It had a fake legend lore description. I would say that's very rare. Only because that's a high level divination.
Yeah, if it dupes legend lore, then we're talking very rare. Because, well, probably very rare, because that is a high bar to clear.
Oh yeah. Especially because part of its components are costly and you lose them. Then, last item for the Mega Mat.
I can see one enhancement to the pendant that could be interesting. Divination spells like Detect Magic reveal that it's a magic item. Which effects it
like
its
school
scans is having depends on the caster. No two casters identify it as the same effect.
That would actually be.
But each caster always gets the same erroneous result.
A question, just as like fellow person who GMs, whatever you want to call it, what do you think is the most dangerous seeming school of magic? Say it gets tripped by. Personally, I think abjuration. All you know about an item is its abjuration. You don't know if it's protecting them from something, like a shield or a resistance spell, or if it's just keeping them from being possessed.
Abjuration's pretty unsettling, but enchantment's worse.
I saw something that's enchantment. That definitely be I'm not wearing that thing until we identify for sure.
Yeah, it's got enchantment magic. Does it let me control something, or does it make me the controlled person? Yeah, I'm not putting that on. No. Illusion could be pretty dangerous too.
Good. I think only knowing.
You see bridges over every canyon. They're not actually there, but you see them.
I think most players, at least if it's not on like caster or a known enemy, they just go, it's probably just a rich person trying to hide a scar or something. Be one of those ones I'm more wary of, but showing a party, if only because they might, well, like we talked about earlier, assume it's something like a door and put way more effort into it. It's like, it was a pull door. You've been trying to push for 30 out of game minutes.
Now I'm reminded of a funny little magic wand. Yes, Nestor's magic aura was involved in the creation of it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Identifying it or attuning to it would reveal that the attuned user could cast Wall of Stone. Sounds good. Except it's not a conjuration spell, it's an illusion spell, Silent Image.
That's dirty. I love it.
Yeah.
Especially because they think it does Wall of Stone, which means they're not seeing through the illusion. Yeah. I might do something in the vein of that one. That seems like a good way to mess with a short term.
Nestor's magic aura is it can be hilarious if carefully applied, but not too frequently.
And actually, funny you should say Wall of Stone, because one of the items later does involve Wall of Stone. Wrapping up a Megamat's item, gloves, which magic gloves let you cast from them. Very nice, just strange or different arcane substitutes, like a deck of cards. I just like having fun with that with players. You want to have a gun, but you don't like how I rule guns in my world? Well, just use this arcane focus.
I mean, you got the artillerist artificer. They get a spell gun, basically.
So, the player in question was a battlesmith artificer.
No, artillerist.
Well, no, my player who wanted that was battlesmith. And it's like, I can't begrudge someone who wants a mechanical griffin and. It's a simple thing. Pretty much saying it's like, you want to use a gun for magic? Sure. You can't have bullets in there. You're not multi-purpose.
Yeah, the artillerist's spell gun, as it were, it's a modified wand, basically. That deals extra damage.
Very nice. Especially because I think English is also bonus action to use that. The spell
no, it's separate from the Eldritch Cannon.
Oh, so okay, yeah. Alright, getting mixed up. It's been a while since I played artillerist.
Yeah. My artillerist is this nice little goblin named Kaboom.
Very fitting.
But yeah, I like these gloves. They look funny.
Yeah. Very bard-like because it just creates spell the sound the higher level spell you do. It's just like soft clapping. 9th level is probably like big booming cymbal type sounds. In the distance is that fucking thunder sound. It's very fun. Contrasting with the other set of gloves. Hereby frequently occurring Loot Tavern, which actually starting to gloves of finger guns. Same as the arcane gloves, use a spell focus, but also 2 features. 5-shooter, which allows you to, I guess, focus the targeted being fingers as the source, and the quick draw, which is very nice as a reaction rolling initiative, asking a key.
Nice.
There's some nice bard ones. Just vicious mockery someone.
Actually, my drow wild mage knows vicious mockery.
Just imagine starting a fight with someone. As soon as you go, it's like, so slow she knocked your ass down to one.
My drows used the yo mama jokes on Underdark drow. He was raised in Waterdeep. And
really great, especially if it kept the patriarchy type. Ow.
Let's just say that he told the priestess, "Your mother likes dominant males."
Oh!
And the priestess was hurt. She knew it to be true.
That's the sort of thing I would do with one of my games, because I'm all about trying to pull aggro through RP like that.
I mean, the drow soldiers in 5e are kind of pitifully underpowered. They're behaving like completely green recruits when they should be, veterans after 10 to 20 years of martial training from the academy.
These are well-trained soldiers.
The basic drow soldier is really disappointing when you consider that in earlier editions, drow were freaking lethal.
Oh yeah, drow poison being pulled over.
But drow elites are actually closer to where the old drow soldiers used to be in earlier editions. Oops. Right. That was just my drug alarm.
No problem. I have the same thing for sleepy meds at the end of the day. Pops up in many of my streams.
Yeah. It's a necessity.
Nothing wrong with it. Some people just need supplements for see, like me.
Chronic pain, diabetes too. It could be better, could be worse. But yes. How much training do we think is left?
Probably
2 hours already.
Probably like less than 10 minutes because it's the last item. Like I said, with the walls. Tactician's turret ring. It's the wall of stone item I said. Funny that you should mention your fake wall of stone thing. Which effectively gives you some free castings of wall of stone, but also some modifications for them. Because you can sacrifice panels for other effects. Wall of stone typically comes with 10 panels if you're not upcasting it. You sacrifice 2 panels, you can give special crenellations such assist archers, as well as stairs going up and people shooting from the wall have half cover for anyone attacking from below. Very nice. 3 panels sacrificed, but you get a moat, either mud or water. Very good.
A moat is always good when you have to spontaneously gain some defensive obstacles.
Especially if you got a nice corner or cliff face to butt up against, so they have to come across the moat. Pushing it is the oil and I think it's supposed to be Abadias options, because they get rid of 4 and 5 panels for reducing your total cover. But oil, there's a chance of failed deck save, they take 3 to 6, 5. You still have to actually climb over the wall. Or the Abadias, which has pretty much a spike pit of sorts. Less pit and more spikes. Those two would probably be limited if you're like casting Wall of Stone, which this ring doesn't explicitly say you can do. Limited. Personally, I'm the sort of person who wants Wall of Stone because I can make a house out of it. Concentration in. Now I can make a fort instead because I can bring in my own moat, oil, archer slits, and just have them stay there forever.
I see that it's very rare, so and requires attunement, so I'd say that the augments are quite fair.
Might be a little weak, but with that many options, it's worth keeping it very rare.
Yeah, you can use it 3 times a day. So I would argue you can't upcast it though, because you can. You essentially cast the spell from the ring itself. Doesn't say you can upcast it.
That's why it's not on my must list. Like it, but I can go.
It's a nice one. Oh, just got the idea for a fun spell focus for a sorcerer.
Oh?
A Zippo.
Like a Zippo lighter?
Yeah, working similar to those gloves. It
It's
might
fair.
have belonged to this British conjurer or magical trickster named Constantine. You just flick it to light a cigarette or something, and everyone on the battlefield just hears click.
Gotta say though, my one gripe about Constantine's lighter is he seems like the kind of guy who would have one of those really interesting but like older style lighters.
Yeah, I mean, I said Zippo. It wouldn't have to be Constantine's.
But yeah, but I just mean like in comics in general. I've seen him. He's always got basic ass one. Not one of the cool niche designs.
He's probably got a Bic or something. But but I mean, conceptually, you flick open the see around Barango. You flick open the Zippo and light it, and everyone on the battlefield hears it because they know you're about to do something dangerous.
It's like hearing a pin drop, but somehow louder than the other sounds of combat.
Yeah.
That's our warning sound. Nope.
Oh no.
That's the last item I had lined up for today. Thank you very much for joining me for
You're welcome.
earlier stream, and thankfully arranged my days off so I could actually do this with you.
Yep. Happy to be here, and I should get to do more streaming on my own as well. Maybe this is the kick in the seat I needed.
Whether or not, we're plenty of us are glad to see you around when you pop up in chats. You are definitely one of the funner people to pop up, converse with.
I try. I try to be a friendly beholder.
I must say, you succeed quite a lot. See if I recall your username has no underscore, right? Shout out. Just did that with exclamation.
I do have an underscore.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I think.
I know you do on Discord. Try it again with that. Doesn't matter. Bot isn't broken. Just
No.
I'm misspelling it.
Let me see.
I got copy paste.
Oh. It's without capitals.
It matters.
Lowercase.
I think my bot might be having issues.
Maybe.
Well, I believe I have it set up so your name's in the title, so people should be able to click through to find you like that at least.
Yeah, no. That doesn't look like me.
Doesn't?
No.
Damn it, Twitch, why you gotta make this so difficult?
Yeah. Why they have to go make it weird? You can. I just noticed that myself, really, but you can probably go and edit that underscore.
Yeah. There it is.
Yep,
Nothing else.
That's me.
People in the chat will at least see 3 versions with underscore, with and without. So, but yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Especially again, and till next time. So
I'll definitely see if I can catch that one. No promises. My timetable gets weird at times.
problem. That's why I have bots. So if I do something especially fun, people can't make it that day. They pop into their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone else. I don't see anyone else on my schedule going. /read. That still works. Till next time, as always, I wish everyone a good day, and I hope you guys are eating enough, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep when possible, so that you guys can come back just as healthy, if not healthier, next time. Then, guys, later.
Good night, people. Or morning, or whenever you are.